investment both in the public sector and in the private sector through the PPP route. The budget does that admirably well. And then simultaneously, it also seeks to carry forward the process of inclusive growth, its expenditure programs, take care of our major flag program, Bharat Nirman, National Rural Employment Guarantee Act programs, the Urban Renewal Mission, the Rural Health Mission. All these programs receive handsome additional allocation. So I believe the Finance Minister has done an admirable job, as I said, in reconciling the requirements, short-term requirements of the economy with the medium-term goals of our economic and social policy and the commitments that we made to our people in our election manifesto.
What will this do for people in rural areas particularly?
It is essentially a rural development-oriented budget. The record increase in allocation for the National Rural Employment Guarantee Fund, the increased money for additional irrigation benefit scheme, the Bharat Nirman program, which seeks to upgrade and modernize rural infrastructure. These are all programs which will primarily benefit our rural areas and reduce the gap between Bharat and India.
At the same time, there's a new urban emphasis. The urban mission has had a huge increase of 86% in the outlay.
Well, the urban mission focuses on the infrastructure needs of our cities. We have identified 63 cities. Probably we will need to relook at the number in due course of time. Simultaneously, the emphasis on basic amenities for the poorer section, the slum-free India commitment also is taken into account.
A new flagship program obviously is going to be the new Food Security Act. Every family getting 25 kilos of grain at 3 rupees. I didn't hear the speech mention any outlay for this particular project.
Well, it's too early because the whole act has to be put in place. As the Finance Minister mentioned, we will soon come out with the draft. It will be put on the website. We will invite large-scale discussions with interested groups, civil society and other groups. And it is only then, I think, we can translate the provisions of this legislation into an act of parliament.
Right. Some states are already giving grain at 2 rupees a kilo using their own state subsidy. So what will happen? Will they say, okay, I no longer subsidize it, I will take central money, or will you say that you don't need the central subsidy?
If we go by the number of people who the Planning Commission regards as people below the poverty line, I think the outlay on the center, even if we provide the grains at 3 rupees, additional outlay is within the limits of practical politics. But if we go by, I think, the much larger figures of people below the poverty line which are floating around, I think then there will be some problem. We will sort out this problem. The commitment has to be honored and we will honor it in a credible way.
Right. There is some mention in the budget speech about more public ownership of public sector undertakings. But I didn't see any specific figures about public sector disinvestment. How much do you think is feasible for this year and for the next 5 years?
Well, I haven't done any detailed calculation. The Finance Minister has committed our government to increased disinvestment while maintaining the public sector character of public enterprises. I think it much depends upon the evolving economic situation, the state of the stock markets. So I think no figure has been mentioned or taken credit of by the Finance Minister in the budget speech.
Economic survey suggests 25,000 crores a year.
Well, economic survey is a forward-looking document.
Okay. The stock market reaction was somewhat down. I think they were disappointed that while everybody understands that the fiscal deficit is going to be high, in an anti-recession mood that you are in, I think they were looking forward to some kind of deadline by which time you would return to the FRBM target, and no deadline was given.
Well, this is a matter which the government has also referred to the Finance Commission for advice. The Finance Commission will be reporting in the month of October. Unless we take into account the recommendations of the Finance Commission, anything we say by way of new deadlines of what we will achieve will be, I think, counterproductive. So I think once the Finance Commission's report is available, once the devolution pattern that they recommend is known for the next 5 years, it is only then that you can make credible, I think, guesses and work out credible strategies how to handle the problem of the fiscal deficit. I recognize this is a important problem. In the medium term, we have to return to the path of fiscal rectitude, and that Finance Minister has committed our government.
Do you think 2011 would be a reasonable date, or even that too early?
Well, I would like to look at the report of the Finance Commission.
All right, I understand that. The goods and services tax, this is one of the biggest reforms coming in. A lot of people have said, you know, the amount of work to be done, the preparation to be done, the legislation by center and states, the training of all the staff to a new system. They are saying that it is not practical to do this by April 2010. However, the budget speech reaffirms the commitment to 2010.
Well, it is important that the government should reaffirm its commitment. If in the process of implementation, enactment, there are some difficulties, they could be taken care of. But if right from the beginning we work to the assumption that I think a lazy approach is called for, I think that would be counterproductive.
Okay, so we have this 2010 deadline, but it's a flexible deadline depending on what actually happens.
Correct.
Absolutely. Administrative reform, better service delivery. This is the most important thing that I think you set up so many committees in the first term that you had. Now is the time to actually deliver. What concretely can we do on this?
Well, I think the Administrative Reforms Commission has produced 15 voluminous report. I have been contemplating to set up an empowered group of ministers to apply themselves as to how we can implement, I think, this voluminous document that has been produced by the Administrative Reforms Commission.
Will this administrative reform require a much larger number of relevant people? It is said that there are too many babus in some sections doing no work, but on the other hand, do we have enough policemen? Do we have enough jailers? Do we have enough judges, nurses?
We don't have, I think, adequate number of policemen. The police forces in our country are understaffed. The security forces, I think, need our understanding and support. And we will do all that is necessary to modernize the security and intelligence services. And that's a commitment which is essential even to deal with problems of development. Law and order is a prerequisite of sustainable development. So the security forces requirements, modernization of our police force, modernization of our intelligence agencies is a must.
Prime Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you, Swami. It's always a pleasure to be interviewed by you.
Pleasure to see you again.